Yeah, I was following Brother Khalid. You are explaining the way you are explaining the questions. I really love and like Brother Khalid. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala
Alhamdulillah.
bless you.
Ameen,
Brother
ameen.
Khalid, atheists often argue that if God does not need a creator, then perhaps the universe does not need one either. How would you respond to that?
Very
Why
good
is it
question.
philosophically coherent to affirm that an uncreated God while denying that the universe itself could be uncreated? If God is uncreated, then why universe cannot be uncreated, brother Khalid? ये वो सवाल है जो अक्सर पूछा जाता है. This is the
Yeah.
questions
Right,
that is
right.
often asked by the atheists and common people.
Right. Okay. So this is very interesting. So this I have seen myself like this question, and people try to bring in Carl Sagan's quote. There's one guy, Carl Sagan, a cosmologist, who used this, and there were two, three other, if I'm not mistaken, who said it. And atheists like yeah, like this, we have something very, uh, powerful against theism. But as I stated my argument, like there are, so you can make a cosmological Kalam cosmological argument, or you can make a contingency argument. Both of these arguments actually lead you to the point where there's something that God has with the universe, where there is a relevant difference between God and the universe. So within the
Okay.
contingency argument, what we are establishing, as I told you, all contingent things require an explanation. That was the principle. We are directly seeing a difference between the universe and God, because the universe, by the fact that the qualities that the universe has, the qualities within the universe, it's limited, it's dependent. It could be otherwise. In that sense, its composition is attachable and detachable. In that sense, and all of these things that exist within almost all aspects of the universe cry out for its contingency, which means that the universe, the qualities that the universe have, point out that that it is contingent, whereas God is not contingent, it's necessary. So you have a relevant difference between God, who is necessary, and universe, who is contingent. So you cannot say by any means that, okay, if God does not require a creator, then the universe does not require a creator. That is absolute nonsense, because by the fact the qualities you see within the universe, you need a determiner for that. You need someone who determines those limitations of the universe. You need someone who chooses those over other possibilities, because it could have been otherwise. It chooses the particular composition that it has, it chooses the particular size, shape, specificity it has. But when it comes to God altogether, God does not have those qualities that those contingent qualities that require a further explanation. So there's a relevant difference between God being necessary and the universe being contingent. In that sense, that's one way of establishing how the universe cannot be necessary, and what you apply to God cannot be applied to the universe by just logical necessity. By just following the argument, you can establish that. Another, if let's say within the universe, if you can establish that everything is caused, if you can, then yes, you reach a first cause. Then you cannot say that the first cause itself has a cause. That makes no sense. So from that perspective also, if the universe has, you can see everything within the universe having prior causes, but God does not have a prior cause, then again there's a relevant difference between God which does not have a prior cause, but the universe which is filled with prior causes. In that sense, so again, what you apply to the universe cannot be applied to God. So in both of these ways, you clearly establish that the universe, what you apply to God cannot be applied to the universe. So that is absolute nonsense. That is generally what you find. Generally, atheist scientists who are not well versed with philosophy, they make such claims. They're like, oh yeah, but we can say this about God. Richard Dawkins says that and that. And trust me, people like Michael Ruse and many others, when they saw Richard Dawkins make such statements, they're like, we are ashamed to say that he's an atheist. Even atheists themselves feel ashamed of these statements. Imagine how bad that is. It's because atheists who are somewhat also well versed with philosophy would see that as a very big blunder. You cannot make such a statement. So that's all I have to say.
Brother Khalid,